and welcome back to the Bookster Podcast from inside the SaaS holiday rental software company Bookster, based in Edinburgh, Scotland. Follow along as Bookster discuss their journey and their inner workings. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you find these conversations insightful and ultimately helpful. Now, I'm joined today, as always, by CEO and co-founder of Bookster, Robin. Robin, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Simon.
Nice to see you today. And we're lucky enough today to be joined by Kelly. Welcome, Kelly.
Hello there.
Hi there. Thank you for your time this morning. We are on episode 10, Robin. They said it would never last, and here we are.
They doubted us, those people.
They doubted us. But no, it's been great conversations so far. I'm sure today will be no different. Kelly, as you are new to our podcast, perhaps you could explain a little bit about your background with Bookster and what your job title is.
Yes, of course. So I have been with Bookster for just over 5 years or so, I think, and I'm the marketing director. So my role is really to help attract new clients to come and work with us and to support some of our existing clients, in particular, kind of in marketing areas. So that tends to be with helping them improve the results of their website and helping them with things like email marketing.
Great, thank you. What was your experience with holiday rentals before joining Bookster?
So I've never had any holiday rentals, but I have worked in the industry for a couple of years before coming to Bookster. So I was working for another software company providing similar services to a slightly different client type, but still within the holiday rental sector.
Excellent. You obviously enjoy this sector then, do you?
I do. It's interesting. It's always changing. It's constantly surprising. And I think the fact that it's quite a new sector, the holiday rentals, no, but the software, yes. And that means that there's always developments to be made and new interesting aspects that we can learn about. So yeah, it's a good place to be.
Fantastic. So Robin, perhaps you would tell us a little bit about, we've talked about how you've sort of formed a company, how you first started slightly, but how do you sort of get customers, I think, when you first start a company like yourselves? We haven't really delved into that yet, so that would be interesting to hear about.
Yeah. So, sorry, Kelly, that was an immediate she doesn't like ums on podcast.
I'm quite nervous on this podcast. I know I am a lot, so I'm deliberately trying not to.
This is going to be our best de-ummed podcast.
We can do this.
So, yeah, when we first started Bookster, we didn't have Kelly. We were doing other things, basically. So we were a software company that was doing other things, and we just had a couple of clients in the holiday rental sector, and we were, writing something, I suppose, bespoke for them. So we started off, we had 2 or 3 clients, and then I honestly cannot remember how we got our first proper client who signed up through our website. I don't know where they came from, but we did at one point. We basically built the Bookster website. We were doing lots of other things, but we decided to do this product, Bookster, off the back of supporting these other holiday rental businesses. And yeah, we did. Someone found us and signed up through the website, and we got a few people who simply did that. I think when we were first starting it out, it was almost probably 100% word of mouth or client referral. So they would maybe book with our starting clients as even a holiday maker, and they would be, oh, I run this business as well. I'll contact this company and see if we can use their software. So I think before having any concept of really deliberately pushing ourselves or marketing ourselves or trying to get ourselves in front of other people per se, it would all be word of mouth. And as a, I suppose, a software company, we had a couple of clients in the holiday rental sector, and we were doing lots of other things, but we decided to do this product, Bookster, off the back of supporting these other holiday rental businesses. And yeah, we did. Someone found us and signed up through the website. a sort of bootstrapped company. So we didn't have a marketing budget that was assigned to Bookster. We didn't have marketing people. We didn't have salespeople. We didn't have any way of, or any concept of doing that. That's where it was all coming from. It was all coming through client referrals. So, yeah, obviously bringing on someone like Kelly was because we wanted to more consciously try to find clients beyond the scope of people who had just either booked a holiday or happened to know one of our clients. So that's kind of how it started, but it was very slow to start with.
Okay, no, it's interesting. So Kelly, then how has that changed, so many years later? What's your approach now?
In a lot of ways, it hasn't changed. So we still get a lot of clients who come to us through client referrals, and that is an approach that we are consciously continuing to follow, maybe a bit more proactively than before. But we have a referral scheme and we have a process. Whenever anybody refers us, we always send out a thank you card. We always mention them on social and recommend their business and, to say thank you for actually referring us. And it's a very positive relationship, a positive engagement. And this works with our clients who refer us, or maybe they are consultants who refer us, or even web developers also refer us. And they join that referral scheme. They get a percentage of income as a result of making the referral, and we get the new client. So there are still a lot of similarities to how the business was working at the beginning, just we're more proactive about it now. There are other things that we do now as well. And I think actually Robin was being a bit modest, because when I joined the company, there were things already happening. So there were newsletters going out to people who had kind of noted interest in the company and wanted more information. Robin was running events at a pub around the corner, and he would invite people to come along and they would interact and, share stories, share advice, techniques. That was all happening as well before I came. So I have just really taken over those aspects and just developed them further. So we have events now as well, but our events are online. And in part that came by push because of COVID, but it has generally benefited us to do that. We have a broader reach. We can invite different guests to come along and speak with us. And there are different types of people who come to the event in different locations, and that we couldn't do before when it was in person. So that again is something we've just tweaked and enhanced really since I've come along. We do podcasts now. Didn't used to do them before. And again, this is definitely Robin's baby. He's very much into the podcasts, and he was prodding me for quite a long time to get the podcasts up and running. Obviously, we have this one here, but we have another one as well. And that's going out to really help people who are looking for information and advice rather than it being a really heavy sales push. That's definitely not the approach that we take with anything that we do. Actually, it's more about support and guidance for the industry rather than heavy, hard sales. Actually, taking on Johnny was another big aspect of changing the approach that we had from a sales and marketing perspective, because Johnny was able to use the marketing material that we produce on the blog and be able to go out to people, potential clients, and say, well, look, we produced this material. Here's something you might find useful. And if you use it and you then come to Bookster, great. And if you don't, also, that's fine. As long as you're being supported and being helped, then that's really the goal. So they were things really that Robin was already doing. And the newsletters, the same. There were already newsletters going out. Now we're just a bit more organized with them, perhaps, a bit more structured. So we send out newsletters about events that we're organizing, or events that we're attending, or events even that we're not attending, but we think our clients and contacts should be. Send out updates on the software. Obviously, that's very important from a communication perspective with our existing clients, because they need to know what's changed and how they can use it. Send out guidance. So if we've written a particular document that we think will be particularly useful, maybe it's about legislation, maybe it's about how they improve their marketing. We organize those as well. But it's a fine line and this is one of the things that I talk about with Robin a lot, it's how much and how often do you communicate with potential clients or your contacts, because you don't want to be annoying people and constantly sending things that people aren't going to read. There's, it's a real balancing act to find, well, what's the right amount? And I'm never entirely convinced I've got that exactly right, because everybody is different. Some people want to be contacted every week. Some people want to be contacted once a month. So it's a bit of a tightrope trying to balance it. Yes, that's how I describe it, a tightrope.
Tightrope.
Yeah. Johnny is our salesperson or sales guy, basically. So, having him to proactively engage with people when they engage with us is obviously a big step.
And we've talked a lot on this podcast about the fact that you are a small company, essentially. Do you find that your marketing activity would be different, do you think, to the bigger firms out there? Do you think it's a more personal approach? How do you work that?
Without a doubt, it's different because we have a tight budget. Ultimately, for those companies who have gone out and they have got $1 million or $2 million in funding, they can do a lot more things. They can go to some of the bigger events, they can have bigger stands, they can travel a lot more. So from our perspective, we just have to be very creative with the resources really that we have. And that comes partly to do with money, because these stands and so on, they cost a lot, but also to do with like physical resources. We are a small team. So ultimately, we have to pick and choose what we're going to do, because we can't do everything, even if we wanted to. And that's, again, it's a bit of a balance. It's working out and working within the team to see if there is an event, who could go to the event. It wouldn't necessarily be the sales. It might be myself or it might be Robin. And for other activities, again, it's really about thinking, what's the top priority right at this time that we are going to go ahead with, because we just don't have the funds and the resources to be able to do everything. And sometimes you do kind of look at the other companies that have been funded, and there is a bit of kind of green-eyed jealousy that they can go to this particular place and speak to these particular people. But in the end, this is the approach that we have taken as a company to be bootstrapped, and therefore we just have to be creative.
And I guess you touched upon COVID earlier slightly, but do you think in a roundabout way, it sounds strange to say it, COVID has perhaps helped companies like yours because it sort of leveled the playing field with the online activity? Perhaps people now expect to do things online rather than go to a trade show to see you or whatever. Do you think that has, in a roundabout way, perhaps helped?
COVID is a funny thing for us as a company. There are obviously awful effects from it, but there were some big benefits from our company's perspective. We got a lot of clients as a result of this, and I think some people were changing their careers. They were rethinking what their priorities were and wanted to come into our industry. And as a result, we got a lot of people approaching us and asking if they could work with us. And that was amazing, and completely, we didn't see that coming at all. From the perspective of being able to level the playing field, yes, that has happened, but also the playing field has shifted. So although there are more events online, and that's great, there is a shift now towards there being online events, but you have to pay to be a speaker on them. So again, it comes back to, have you got that large budget to be able to afford to go and talk on this independent webinar about your services or about something else? And ultimately, if you don't have the budget, then you can't go on it. So yes, but the playing field is very different.
Very different.
Some basics of, I would say, broadly speaking, more people are more competent on video calls.
Oh, yeah.
Than they were before. So when we were doing demos to prospective clients, our demographic of client are, again, similar to us in a way. They tend to be a bit smaller. So, they tend to have 10, 15, 20 properties maybe. They're not these 300 properties, 1,000 property kind of companies where they've got a corporate office and high-speed internet, and they're all super jazzed to be on a call with us. It's usually someone in their kitchen, just trying to make sure that their call works, and they've got kids in the background and their cat keeps wandering in front of the screen or whatever. So those are our people. And I think actually one of the side upsides to COVID is people got very familiar with using that technology, and so I think that it's become a bit easier for us to do those kinds of calls with people where we demonstrate our software on a one-to-one basis. Going back to, if you're starting up and your clients are sort of geographically close to you, those pre-COVID meetups that we did in the pub around the corner, they sort of had two benefits to us. And we might end up doing something like that again, I'm not sure, but it had the benefit of meeting our existing clients and getting feedback in a kind of casual way, where it's not something they would write down in an email and say, it'd be great if you did this, or it'd be great if you did that, or it annoys me when this happens or that happens. They just chat to you about it, and they might chat to you about, I'm thinking about advertising my property on this channel, or this channel are really hard to work with. I don't understand why I can't, so they would give us feedback. We get lots of feedback in a way you don't get actually through, if you send people a survey, they just ignore it, or you ask them to write you an email, they just won't do it. Whereas, standing around talking to you, they'll give you all sorts of information. And then there's also that word of mouth thing where someone invites their friend along who also runs a property, and etc. So it has that kind of double effect. So if you are a small company and you have few clients that are geographically in the same area, organizing a little meetup like that, and it doesn't have to be that formal, but sometimes it's nice to have speakers and things. And in fact, there was a reasonably clear demand from people to actually have a little bit more structure to it. We first started, it was literally just meeting in a pub, but they did want a bit more than that, actually, really. If that is your, if you do have that, it can be good has those two benefits, basically.
Yeah. And I guess going back to the start again, when you said you're a bootstrapped company and you nice to have a bit more finance to do bigger marketing activities, perhaps, is being a bootstrap company a choice, or is that, did you choose to do it that way, or was it sort of by necessity?
It was so we came about really as the result of the sale of another business, which was also bootstrapped. So yes, it's been a sort of mini hops along the way. So we've never needed really to go and get investment, but it was a choice not to bother looking. So yes, it was a choice, really. We certainly points in our evolution where it would have made sense to from a venture capitalist perspective. And so, yes, it was a choice. And I think we were deciding that we would really rather not have a boss telling us that we were not spending their money in the way that they wanted, or not doing things quickly enough, or not growing fast enough, or not doing X, Y, and Z. So it's kind of a luxury in a way, but if you can manage to do it, it's a more relaxed way of trying to build a business, rather than, it's maybe more exciting and adrenaline filled if you've got a lot of money to go and attack a market with. But we see them all the time. These companies, they do come and go pretty quick. So if it's going to work, it works. But if it doesn't, it will burn. And venture capitalists themselves, there'll be something like out of every 10 companies they invest in, they'll expect 8 or 9 of them to fail. So what they're betting on is that the one gets big. And so, they might invest £1 million across 10 companies or whatever, or, I don't know, 10 million. Then, they're just hoping that one grows to be 100 million,
Sure.
50 million. And then at the others, they're it's just money that they're kind of willing to lose. And so you are much more likely to end up on that scrap heap.
On the flip side of that, then perhaps, Kelly, not having the huge budget perhaps makes you a bit more creative in terms of what you do. Would you sort of agree with that?
For sure, because you can't do anything unless you are being frugal and careful and building good relationships. I actually think that's probably one of the things that has been most successful for us is the relationships that we've built across the industry that have given us the opportunities to go and present on a stage, but without having to have bought a stand, or to even be included in newsletters, but without having to have paid for an advertising spot. It does come down to really good relationships. And there's some great people in the industry. So it actually is a win-win, because they come and talk with us. They come and talk to our clients and our contacts. And likewise, we get invited to go and have opportunities that we probably wouldn't be able to have due to our financial costs. I think it also lets you think differently. So rather than having money to throw at a problem, you do need to think, well, what are the other ways that I could approach this problem or challenge? So if we're thinking about our clients, rather than spending 5,000, 10,000 or more on a stand in a particular event, well, how else could we meet them? Where else could we go? What other channels could we use? And really digging down into that client base, because going to events and talking to people there, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's an easy option, because you know that your clients or potential clients will be there. And if you have to think differently about it, it is harder sometimes, but also fun, because you can be more creative and you try and you fail, you try something else and cross your fingers, hope for the best. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, well, you try something else. And I think that makes the job fun as well as frustrating. It's a real mixed bag.
So, if somebody's listening to this who is thinking of starting up a company without, financial backing, could you suggest maybe sort of one marketing thing that you should think about to do to help them? What would be your go-to marketing thing? Put you on the spot there.
It has, because there's not just one thing that I would say go and do. I think it's about having a range of different activities that you are willing to invest your time and energy into, because one approach, you're kind of putting all your eggs in the basket there, just trying to come up with one approach. So I think it's about looking at who your potential clients are and identifying, okay, where are they? How can I reach them? How can I speak with them? And trying a few different approaches to speak with them. So that might be sending emails. It might be that you go to events, or you advertise the fact that you have drop-in calls, which is one of the things that we do. And it's just about experimentation. So I wouldn't just choose one option. I would choose a selection of different ways that you think you're going to be able to speak with or contact your potential clients, and then give them all a try.
And I guess final question, as I'm conscious of time. I used to work somewhere where it was a tourist attraction, and a book was written about it, and it became very popular. And we used to say it was the best piece of marketing that we didn't do, because it was based on this book. Have you got something similar to that in your sort of Bookster history, that the best piece of marketing that you didn't do actually helped your company?
Ooh, Robin, I might need to ask you for this.
Well, I mean, it probably goes back to client referrals, really. When you see people talking about you on Facebook and in Facebook groups and things, that always warms your heart. And we're not doing that. Obviously, they're just talking about us and saying we're great and they love working with us and that they would recommend that you get into contact with us. So I would say that really, when you see people talking about Bookster on social media, you realize, and it's not prompted or anything. They just, you just find it. That's lovely and definitely really strong. So you obviously, if you're starting out, it's very difficult to do that, and you definitely don't want to be out there astroturfing. So creating fake names and things and going out there and doing it that way, that is definitely very bad. But seeing, clients of yours, so encouraging people to do that would be one thing you could possibly do if you were starting out, saying it'd be really great if you could mention us on your, I see you've got lots of followers on your Facebook page or something. So yeah, there you go. That would be mine.
No, fantastic. I have just, when you said that right now, another question has just come to my mind. I'm conscious of time though, but I will ask it because I'm going to find the answer to this. When you're talking about social media and sort of Instagram and followers and things like that, have you ever worked with sort of a social media influencer to try and get people coming to Bookster, or do you give them a free weekend somewhere and ask them to feedback on it?
Well, we couldn't give them a free weekend anywhere. We don't have anywhere that they could go unless they wanted to come and sit in our office for a while. So I don't think that they would take us up on that offer. But we do speak to people that I would probably call influencers to a point. So they might be consultants in the industry or just very well known. And we do work with them more along the lines of inviting them to come along to events, knowing that they will have people who will follow them to come and listen to our event, and we will be able to share snippets from the videos or sound bites or just quotes, post that, and we know that they will also post and share these particular pieces of information, and that does give us a wider reach. So influencers in the way that I think of influencers, no, but they definitely have a following and we can benefit from that following. But it's not one way. We have to be able to provide value for them too. And as you say, we don't have a property that they can stay in. So the value that we offer is by giving them reach as well, because we also have a lot of people following us on social media. We have a lot of people that we speak to or speak with via our newsletters. So we're promoting them, they're promoting us, and it's a win-win.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, thanks for that. Sorry we've run on a bit longer this week, but I think it's been a very interesting episode. What we usually do at this point is sort of promote our sister podcast, which is Smashing Your Holiday Rental Goals. But Kelly, that's your podcast, basically, and you're on our one here. So perhaps you'd like to sort of promote it for us this week.
Okay, well, I recorded and posted the newest episode this morning, so you can go and find that within Bookster HQ, and it's all about, again, it's about supporting the industry. So it's about supporting holiday rental owners and holiday rental managers by highlighting tools within holiday rental software that could help them overcome a problem. And then at the end, we always cover one particular tool that's actually within the Bookster software and how that can help you achieve your goals.
Fantastic. Well, it's much
Thank you
better
for the
than I
plug.
could ever have done. So, no, thank you. So, no, absolutely. Go and listen to that podcast, Smashing Your Holiday Rental Goals. Leave a favourable review. That would be great. If you'd like to leave a review for this podcast, we'd appreciate that as well. If anyone has any questions for either podcasts, you can send them to podcast@booksterhq.com. That's podcast@booksterhq.com, and we'll endeavour to answer them on our podcast, or Kelly will answer them on her one. Thank you both for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate your time coming on our our podcast here.
Oh, no. Thank you for inviting me.
We'll hopefully speak to you again soon. For now, though, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube, and enjoy the rest of your day. And for now, to both of you, thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.